So, Platman here. I wanted to do a part 2 of Gladiator 2. Because it is such bad film that tries to be good film. It feels like it needs 2 parts. And then on top of that, this is all gonna be spoilers because in Russia, we give 0 Fs about American politics, about the spoilers or the non-spoilers. Yeah, that is Russian dryer going off right now. My Russian wife that does not exist is going to go pick it up any minute now. Joking aside, I felt like I need to dive a little deeper on, and I know a lot of people are doing it, and I've seen a lot of videos about it, and a lot of them are like really concise and really awesome. So this is my kind of short, condensed-ish version of Gladiator 2. I've already talked about it, and if you didn't watch the video, the short summary is basically Gladiator 2 is a soft reboot of Gladiator 1, meaning they copied a lot of, pretty much all of the one-liners, the cool moments of Gladiator, and they did a bad job. Like, they literally took the homework, they took someone else's work, Gladiator, the Oscar-worthy Gladiator, and then they copy-paste, did their own version of it in modern day, and it was worse. Like, significantly worse. If they just copy-pasted it, it would be okay. And it was so atrocious. There are scenes where I'm like, that's literally ripped. Like, I almost feel like you just took the same footage that you used and then CGI'd more people in there. It was that bad. Along with, like, stealing lines, borrowing lines, and whatever. And then there's this other thing, and I want to do a deeper dive on this, but I'm just going to touch on it now because this movie harkened on it several times. This idea of, like, biological things. Like, oh, my dad does this, so me, his son, I also do this. And, I mean, this is filled with spoilers, so I don't really care. But the main character, he's supposedly the son of Maximus, which is bullcrap, by the way. But whatever. And when he's in the arena, he goes and, like, you know, grabs dirt and puts it in his hands to, like, roughen up his hands or whatever the reason is for it. Doing construction, I kind of understand that, but it's like, whatever. And that is enough for his mom to be like, oh my God, this is my long lost son that I scooted away like 16 years ago. Oh, and I hate this thing that Hollywood does where they just make it seem like, oh, biologically, children do what their parents do. Like, it's just innate. Like, they're just copies of. And they'll just copy the behaviors, the mannerisms. And that's weird because it's like, no, a lot of these behaviors and mannerisms derive from life experience. Like, I would imagine Maximus, the reason why he has that is he fought enough battles where he didn't have enough grit in his hand and his sword hilt is kind of smooth. So he wanted to add an extra thing so he could have an extra layer of grit for his sword. That's what that derives from, probably, just a guess. Hey, Cyrus, knock it off. So having this other guy who is like a warrior kind of, sort of, he wouldn't know that. He wouldn't be aware. It's like not part of his thing. So it's kind of weird. And it's just bullcrap. And Hollywood does this all the time where they're like, oh, yeah, because the dad does this, the kid does this, and see... And oftentimes they use it for comedic effect, and that's one other thing, but whatever. But I just felt like, yeah, it was lame. It was not relevant. It was not correct. And Hollywood keeps doing it. And another thing, another point of reference is there was one specific line that Denzel Washington had where he's referring to our main character, and he's like, oh, hose him down. He says hose him down. Not wash him down, not wash him off, not... you know, just like clean him up or something like that. But literally hose him down. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm sorry. This is ancient times. I don't think hoses existed then. How does that work? Hose him down. Like, that's a colloquial thing that you use in today's day and age. Not then. And the fact that it just went by and slipped and, like, nobody had the gall to be like, hey, Denzel, Let's redo that. Like that doesn't work. And you get Ridley, who like doesn't give two craps about realistic things, which is so weird considering he's the guy for historical epics. And all of a sudden, between Napoleon and Gladiator, maybe he's just gotten too much crap and he doesn't care anymore. But between Napoleon and Gladiator 2, all of a sudden Ridley Scott, who's the director, is like, I don't care about historical relevance. I don't care. I don't care. Like, F you. You care too much. You care too much. And I'm like, bro, these people who care too much are watching your movies. So you're in the wrong for not caring enough. Like, you should at least respect them and be like, hey, I get it. I'm sorry. But I'm trying to create a story. I'm trying to create a thing. He clearly didn't care. And I'm going to get into the main action scene. But it irritated me so much that I'm like, Denzel Washington is saying, hose them down. And a lot of people have pointed out Denzel Washington didn't really have an accent, or if he did, it sounded kind of like his New Yorker accent from one movie or another. And it's like, okay, I get that. And Denzel's reaction is like, well, what should I have done? Some like African accent and butchered it? Like, what should he have sounded like? And I'm like, well, perhaps not American. Like, just go with that. Whatever's not American. And most people went with British. So it's like, just do that. Like, that's what people are pretend speaking. Because there's this unspoken agreement that, like, British is old. So, therefore, because it doesn't make sense. They would be speaking Latin. They wouldn't be speaking English. But if you're going to do an accent, do an English accent, I guess, at least. It's agreed upon, whatever. But he didn't do that either. And in part of me is like, okay, fine, I respect his point. But another part of me is like, no, now you sound like the off person in the group. Everyone's doing this thing, and you're like, well, I don't care. Why? And it's like, well, now you sound like a dick. Which is kind of what he sounded like. It's just whatever. And everyone's talking about, rightfully so, he had this grand plan, which I didn't really see while watching it. Whatever. I also want to talk about, historically speaking, the stupid insanity in the beginning of the film. Where it's like, the Romans are attacking the city on the sea. So it's a port city. They're not attacking the port. They're not attacking the land next to the city and then building up and then doing catapults into the city and doing that. No. This city has to be taken in a day, which makes zero sense and is totally malarkey and totally not how wars work or battles work at all. Not even in contemporary days. Like, that's just not... I'm sorry. Iraq was not invaded in a day. Hey, Cyrus, knock it off. The city of Iraq was not invaded in a day. It took like a week. And that's with modern tech and this huge buildup outside and like air and all this other stuff. It's not done instantaneously. Now I understand we need a movie. We need it to go A to B, blah, blah, blah. We got to move on with the story. And we want this big action set piece. But to me, it's like really disturbing that Ridley Scott can't find a way to make our character interesting and show him like, I don't know, he's 3 days into this ongoing Roman invasion, Roman siege, and he's killed hundreds of Romans now, and he's very like tired and hungry, and his wife's there, she's there, and you can't do it that way. Instead, you have to do this insane attack by the Romans to like, we're going to have ships, and we're going to drive the ships right into the sea wall, the wall, which, I'm sorry, I don't know who builds a wall like right there, but whatever they did, right there, and we're just gonna drive our ships right in there. Doesn't matter if they're damaged in the process, which they will definitely be damaged, like on the reefs, that your ships are fucked. They're gonna require lots of repairs. So every ship that does that is effed. As opposed to like D-Day, Normandy D-Day, where they're driving up on the sand. And then in theory, it's like, yeah, well, when the water comes in, we can just drive away. It's fine. No, this is right up on the walls, right up on the rocks where the bottom of them is going to get messed up. And then they have these siege towers, which I'm like, oh my God, this doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense why you would put the siege tower on the ship. That, oh my God, every part of this is wrong. And then they also have catapults on the ships, which also doesn't really make any sense. And what's further bad is like, okay, they can see these people, the ships coming. Effectively, a ship coming at you. It's lined into a certain target. Like, it's going to you. There's no reason you can't. Like, if you have the range, you have catapults, ballista, archers. Like, there's no reason you can't just mess up all the ships there. Which is why nobody does this. Because you're just like a walking plank for like, please kill me and everybody on me. Okay? It's just a walking wooden plank for, please kill us. But they made it seem like, yeah, this is how battle's done. And I'm like, nope, not how battle's ever been done, ever. I'm sure the first time somebody tried it and they realized, yeah, no, I lost half my guys and almost all my ships. I'm never doing that again. Whoops. So, what the heck? And it's upsetting to me that you have all of this history of big movies, even small movies, that deal with ship combat. And this movie, Ridley Scott, seems to like, I don't care. It seems as if he's just like, I'm just trying to get my bread. I'm just trying to get my 10 mil or whatever he gets per film. And he doesn't care. And it is upsetting to me that the industry is like, well, Ridley Scott used to be amazing, so let's just like greenlight him for other things. It's like, no, you guys need to stop. You need to stop. And like, somebody needs to tell him no. And same thing with Denzel. Like, I love Denzel. And like, he supposedly read the script and was like, yeah, I'm on board. And I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. How did you read that script and you're like, I'm on board? No, this is a bad script. Objectively bad. Like, objectively bad. You should have been, I know, Cyrus. You should have been like, no, I'm not going to do this. Like, you need to change the story. This is just a copy of the first one. What are you doing? Denzel Washington. You know, I can't do a Denzel Washington. I like the first one. Why are you copying the first one? And this is a thing that I have with the industry where there's still a lot of actors in the industry, a lot of people in the industry who just care about the money. And a lot of people can justify and be like, well, they have big expenses. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. A lot of these people, like Denzel, he's in the twilight years of his career. He can say yes or no to whatever the heck he wants. He gets good money, has gotten good money. He could live off of his residuals the rest of his life, which can't be said. Sorry, my dog is eating my hand. Which can't be said about all the newer actors. But he can't live off of his residuals. He never has to work a day in his life. His kids can live off of his residuals. Maybe not his grandkids, but his kids. If they invest, his grandkids can live off of his residuals. No problem. So he never has to work. So he can be hyper picky about what he wants. And to be fair, it seemed like he was having a lot of fun with this role. It's just irritating to me that it seems like when a bad film like this comes out, all the advertising department is just like, oh, look, people like this film. And I'm like, yeah, some people like entertaining shit. This is objectively a bad film. And why are you making it when you could have done a little bit of better work, had some half-decent writers just come in and be like, hey, no, instead of having them come in, we're going to have a realistic thing where they invented on the side and there's ships blocking our port so we can't escape. So now we're kind of mucked in this thing, and then we're on day 7 or 25 of this Roman siege, and like, okay, we're gonna make a go for it, and had the same effect. Instead, you had this stupid like invasion, like all of a sudden this is happening, like we didn't know the Roman ships were coming, we had no idea. It's just ridiculous. And then you get the fight scene at the end where Denzel's fighting the younger guy in hand-to-hand combat, and it's stupid. You get all these references to Maximus, and I'm like, guys, either get Russell Crowe or don't. Stop referencing him. Stop. Just make your own film. And I feel like I need to make a third thing where I write up a separate story of what Gladiator 2 should have been. like based on what they had and just do their, I think I'll do that. I'll write it up and then I'll do it. I'll read it out for you guys. Just simply put, don't watch the movie. Watch the original Gladiator. Wait up. I'm going to do this whole thing and do Gladiator 2 Part 3 remaster because this is just horrible. So anyways, I love the world. I love the concept. I love Romanism. I love battles and conflicts and gladiator pits and all this stuff. This was just a really bad hodgepodge. The only thing that I remotely liked was like the sea combat and like the rhino in there. That was cool. Just the rhino. Not the like stick together, which was like totally copied from the other thing. And just every speech that the main guy gave, I was like, dude, you're not charismatic at all. Like at all. Like I wouldn't follow you. I'd be like, no, whatever you're saying, I'm not going to track with you. You admitted yourself that you're not a commander. And I'm like, no, a good commander would never admit that. He would just be a commander or shut the fuck up. So, I don't know who wrote this. I feel like I need to do some deep diving into it, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the writers of this were kind of leftist idiots. They certainly weren't the writers of the other one. So, Hollywood is having a writing issue. I don't know if it's too much usage of Chat GPT or whatever. And I know I'm a hypocrite because like, well, David, write your own stuff. I'm working on it. So this is a wake-up call. Hi, Cyrus. For myself of like, hey, I need to get to work. All right. I love you all. Plaidman out. Talk to you soon. Bye.